Welcome to the Monsters Among Us podcast. This is episode 25, Wolfman of Alabama. Today we're looking into some really unsettling stories coming out of Alabama, specifically about this creature, well, some people are calling it a wolfman.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is we're not just digging through old legends. Our whole focus today is this incredibly detailed firsthand account. It was shared online by a guy named Bill. We're basically going step by step through his experiences, what he saw, what he felt on this property he inherited down in rural Alabama.
Exactly. So picture this. Bill, his wife Sarah, their son Michael. They move out there thinking, peace and quiet,
Yeah,
inherited land.
yeah.
But that peace gets shattered pretty quickly. Just unsettling events start happening, things that are hard to explain.
And it wasn't like, boom, monster attack on day one. Bill's story shows this slow burn. It starts small, right? Weird noises, livestock getting hurt in odd ways. But it builds. It escalates into these, well, terrifying encounters. Face to face with something Bill eventually decides has to be a werewolf.
Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. Those first few weird things. Bill talks about their very first Friday night there. He hears this sound outside, like deep and strange. Goes to check, finds the chickens just going crazy in the coop, totally agitated. But here's the thing. No broken fence, no footprints, nothing to show what spooked them.
Right, and that's the initial hook, isn't it? The chickens are terrified, but there's no reason you can point to. No predator tracks, no damage. It immediately sets up this feeling of something unseen, something that can cause panic without leaving a physical trace. Makes you wonder, what could do that?
Then the next day, it gets even stranger. He finds one of their cows has these cuts. Shallow, he says, but definite cuts on its hind legs. And Sarah confirms, the fences were solid. They checked everything when they moved in.
Yeah, and it's here Bill mentions that first intrusive thought. He sees the cuts, thinks claws, and then the word just pops into his head. Werewolf.
That's a big leap, obviously.
It is, but think about it. The cuts aren't typical predator marks for that region. Not deep tearing, just shallow slashes. It doesn't quite fit. And when things don't fit the usual pattern, your mind starts searching for other explanations, even wild ones. How do you make sense of that?
And this pattern continues over the next few weeks. This feeling of being watched hangs over them. The animals are clearly on edge, jumpy, but still, nothing solid. No smoking gun, just this building dread, this unseen pressure.
That must be incredibly stressful, constantly feeling like something's out there watching, but you can't see it. That wears you down, creates this awful sense of vulnerability.
And then one night, that unease just explodes into full-blown terror. It's about 3 a.m. Bill's woken up by a cow, just bellowing in pain. He grabs his shotgun, tells Sarah, stay inside with Michael. Standard procedure, right? But then he opens the door, and he gets hit by this smell. Overpowering, he says. Like iron, blood maybe, mixed with sweat and wet dirt. So strong it made him feel sick.
Wow. That sensory detail, the smell, it makes it so much more real, doesn't it? Smell is so primal. That kind of reaction, nausea, it suggests something really potent, really wrong, was physically there.
And then he sees it. In the pasture, this large, dark shape, hunched over a cow. It looked like it was using its hands or maybe claws, tearing at the cow. And there was this low growl. He hits it with his flashlight beam, and it lifts its head. And Bill describes these eyes, glowing unnaturally, and the face, distorted, elongated, but with this horrifying hint of something human underneath.
The glowing eyes, okay, you hear that sometimes with animals at night, but the face,
Yeah.
twisted yet human-like, that's where it crosses a line, isn't it? That's pure nightmare fuel. That's not just an animal attack anymore.
Pure instinct. He fires the shotgun.
Obsessed.
The thing just bolts. Moves incredibly fast, he says. Vanishes into the woods.
Incredible speed, right? Faster than you'd expect.
He gets to the cow, and it's bad. Abdomen ripped open. The metallic smell of blood everywhere. Bill says he actually threw up.
I don't blame him.
And that image, the distorted face, the violence, the speed, it just cements that word in his mind again. Werewolf.
That visceral reaction, vomiting, it just highlights the shock. And the speed, again, suggests something, well, beyond a normal predator. And yeah, that word werewolf keeps coming back because what else fits? How else do you explain that?
So the next day, he's obviously shaken. He doesn't tell Sarah everything at first. Sort of. Downplays the really weird stuff, the glowing eyes, the face.
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you even start that conversation? And who's going to believe you?
Exactly. So when he calls Sheriff Tanner, he sticks to the basics. Says a large, aggressive animal killed his cow, leaves out the more fantastical bits.
It's self-preservation in a way. You want help, but you don't want to sound crazy, especially not to the sheriff.
And Tanner reacts pretty much how you'd expect. Skeptical? Suggests maybe a big coyote, a wolf, Maybe even a bear wandered through.
Standard predator explanations.
He does come out, patrols the property, but finds nothing. No tracks, no evidence. Which just leaves Bill feeling more alone, more frustrated. Convinced something truly strange is going on that the authorities just aren't equipped to handle. Or maybe won't handle.
And that dismissal from the sheriff, it really isolates him, doesn't it? When the people who are supposed to help just write it off, you're left completely on your own with this terror. Deepens the paranoia.
And it gets worse. Their son, Michael, starts having nightmares.
Yeah.
Really bad ones. He talks about seeing a man with wolf skin outside his window.
Oh, that's chilling. Kids can be sensitive to things, pick up on atmospheres.
It really rattles Bill. Makes him wonder, did Michael actually see something? Something they missed?
Right. Or is the kid just reflecting the fear in the house? Either way, it's deeply disturbing and adds this whole other layer of worry. Is the thing targeting his family, his child?
The whole atmosphere in the house just deteriorates. They feel totally isolated, like they're under siege, and the weird signs keep popping up. He finds tracks sometimes, but they don't look right. Not animal, not human. Huge scratch marks appear high up on the barn door, way too high for any normal animal.
See, it's the accumulation, the tracks, the scratches, sometimes this awful rotting smell he mentions. It's not just one thing, it's this pattern of the inexplicable.
And then there's this howl. One morning, early, he hears it in the distance. But it's not like any wolf howl he's ever heard. He described it as deeper, more mournful, almost anguished.
Anguish, that's a strange detail, not just predatory, but suggesting suffering or something more complex. It adds another layer of mystery to what this thing even is.
Yeah, he said he just froze him, grabbed his shotgun, stood there in the dark, just praying it wouldn't come closer.
Understandable, absolutely.
So at this point, Bill's basically living on high alert, 24/7. Feels like he's being watched constantly, like this thing is just out there waiting. He and Sarah start barricading the house every night, boarding windows, reinforcing doors. Imagine explaining that to your kid. Michael's just confused, seeing his home turn into a fortress.
It must have been awful for the whole family. That constant fear fundamentally changes your life. Your home doesn't feel safe anymore. It's psychological warfare almost.
Bill's barely sleeping. When he does, it's nightmares.
Yeah.
Teeth, claws. He says the silence at night becomes terrifying. Every little sound amplified.
That's classic trauma response. Hypervigilance. Your senses are dialed way up, interpreting everything as a potential threat. Even silence feels menacing.
And it doesn't stop. More hens go missing. Same story. No obvious signs of what took them. Bill finds more weird tracks. Try showing Tanner again.
And Tanner's still dismissive.
Yeah. Bill says Tanner basically laughed it off. So Bill decides, okay, fine. He has to handle this himself. Starts patrolling the property every night, shotgun ready.
That's a big step. Moving from defense to actively hunting, or at least confronting whatever this is. He feels abandoned, feels he has no other choice.
He even gets some old security cameras, sets them up, hoping, praying he'll catch something. Anything. Proof.
Desperate for validation, right, or just evidence to show someone.
But nothing. Night after night, just deer, raccoons, the usual stuff. And that starts to mess with his head. He starts wondering, maybe I am crazy. Am I imagining all this?
That's the insidious part of experiences like this. When there's no proof, no validation, you start doubting your own senses, your own sanity, especially when everyone else is skeptical.
Then comes another encounter, maybe the closest yet. He's patrolling near the woods, maybe 2 a.m. Hears footsteps behind him, clear as day.
Oh, boy.
He spins around, catches a glimpse of this silhouette ducking into the trees, says his broad-shouldered, long arms moved weirdly, almost like crawling, but fast. And he gets that smell again. Sweat, filth.
Yeah.
Awful.
That movement description. Crawling like, but fast. That's bizarre. It just doesn't fit any normal animal profile. Adds to the whole unnatural feel of it.
So maybe not the smartest move, but he chases it. Runs into the woods after it. Pitch black.
Adrenaline, I guess? Or maybe just fed up?
Loses it pretty quick, obviously. Woods are dense, it's dark. Then silence. But he gets this intense feeling, like something is right there, watching him, very close.
Primal instinct kicking in, that sixth sense.
He sweeps his flashlight around, and bam, 2 eyes, reflecting the light, big, wide, yellowish glow. But he says they looked almost human, just staring at him. He felt pure, paralyzing terror.
The eyes again, that glowing yet almost human quality, that would be absolutely terrifying. It's the ultimate uncanny valley effect, but hostile.
Reaction, pure reflex. Fires the shotgun towards the eyes, hears this huge roar like nothing he's ever heard, and crashing sounds as it takes off again.
It roared, so it felt the shot or was reacting to it.
Seems like it. But when he checks, there's nothing there. Just that smell. Lingering. Rancid. Warm, he says. half animal, half human. And that smell, for Bill, it's confirmation. This is real. It's not in his head.
That olfactory evidence, as gross as it sounds, becomes his anchor to reality in a way. It's physical proof, even if transient, that something tangible and deeply weird is happening.
So after that, he knows he has to tell Sarah everything. The glowing eyes, the human-like look, all of it.
How did she take it?
Predictably. Terrified. She wants out immediately. Let's just leave, she says. Now,
Can't blame her.
but Bill argues, where do we go? Who would take us in if we told them why we left? And what if it follows us? Are we putting other people at risk then? They feel completely trapped.
It's an impossible situation. Flee into the unknown with no resources and a story nobody believes.
Yeah.
Or stay and face this monster and the fear of it following. Now, that's a heavy burden.
The security cameras still haven't caught anything useful. Maybe a blur here or there, but nothing clear. Bill's getting desperate for some kind of proof.
The lack of proof just adds to the isolation and the feeling of being gaslit by reality itself.
And the toll on the family is getting worse. Sarah's barely eating. Michael's losing that kid spark, just quiet and scared. Fear is just constant in the house.
It poisons everything, that kind of pervasive fear.
Then another cow is killed. A calf this time. And the way it was killed, even more grotesque than the first one. Bill calls Tanner again.
And Tanner's reaction.
Still dismissive. Bill says when he finally, maybe out of desperation, mentions the word werewolf, Tanner actually sort of chuckled. Restrained, but definitely amusement. Bill is furious.
That's just insulting on top of everything else. Total lack of empathy or even basic investigation, it sounds like. No wonder Bill felt alone.
He thinks about leaving again, but they just don't have the money or a place to go. And part of him feels responsible. This is happening on his land. He feels this need to understand it, maybe even stop it.
A sense of obligation, maybe. Or just the inability to run from something that feels so targeted.
Out of sheer desperation, Bill does something pretty risky. He finds out who the local vet is, a guy named Dave. And he basically, breaks into the vet's office after hours. Not to steal, but just looking for information on large predators, tranquilizers, anything.
Wow. Okay, that shows how desperate he was. Going outside the law just to get some kind of information or tools.
Dave catches him, eventually. Bill tries to explain, vaguely. Dave is skeptical, suggests maybe a big cat, like a puma, which Bill knows isn't right. Dave gives him some tips on traps, maybe mentions sedatives, but clearly doesn't believe the core of Bill's fear.
Another dead end, essentially. More skepticism, even from someone who deals with animals. Reinforces that feeling of being completely isolated with this problem.
The fear at home just ramps up. They start locking Michael in his room at night. Not to punish him, but because they're terrified the creature might somehow get inside the house. Bill's barely sleeping, just constant watchfulness.
Locking their child in his room, that speaks volumes about the level of fear they were living under. The house isn't a sanctuary, it's a prison they're defending.
Then one night, muggy, no moon. He hears this tremendous crash. Sounds like wood splintering, breaking from the barn.
Oh, no.
He rushes out. Part of the barn wall is just collapsed, smashed inwards. Door ripped off its hinges, splintered wood everywhere, bloodstains.
Deliberate destruction, not just an animal getting frantic.
2 cows are injured inside, panicked. 3 others seem to have bolted out through the broken wall and leading away from the barn. Footprints. Bloody footprints.
What kind of footprints?
Too large for a human, Bill says, but not shaped like any animal paw he recognizes. More. Humanoid, but wrong.
Wow.
With claw marks. For Bill, it just screams, werewolf again.
That's chilling. Physical evidence of something immensely strong, destructive, and with non-standard anatomy.
The damage is so bad, the fear so overwhelming, they basically just retreat back to the house and wait for sunrise. Can't even deal with the injured cows until daylight. Sarah's just devastated. Bill's mind is racing, call for help again. Get better weapons. Just run.
That moment, waiting for dawn after such destruction, must have felt endless. The feeling of total helplessness against something so powerful and malevolent.
The barn attack is a turning point. The fear is constant now, suffocating. Bill starts reaching out further, calls some distant neighbors.
Any luck there?
One guy, Robert, listens. He shares a story, actually. Lost some sheep recently. Said he saw a shadow near the pen, felt uneasy. Didn't buy the official coyotes explanation. He's uncomfortable when Bill mentions werewolf, but he doesn't dismiss him outright, agrees to stay in touch.
Finally, someone who doesn't just laugh. Even that little bit of shared experience, that validation, must have meant something.
It gives Bill a bit of resolve. He buys electric sensing, spends days reinforcing the barn, patching weak spots. It's exhausting work, physically and mentally. Sarah's worn out too, but maybe there's a tiny flicker of hope.
Taking action, fortifying, it gives you a sense of control even if it's small. Better than just waiting passively.
Bill starts keeping watch from the porch at night, shotgun across his lap, just waiting.
Constant vigilance. Must be draining.
One night, around 3 a.m., the steady hum of the new electric fence just stops. Silence.
Oh, that's not good. Not a power outage.
He goes to check, finds the wires near the generator are cut, torn, sparks flying. Deliberate.
It cut the power. That shows intelligence.
Yeah.
Planning.
And then he hears it. A low growl from the other side of the barn.
It's there. It waited.
He raises his flashlight, sees a shadow, tall, hunched, broad shoulders. And he gets this chilling sensation, like it's smiling at him in the dark.
That's terrifying. Attributing intelligence, malice, even amusement to it.
His hands are shaking, holding the shotgun. Then he hears this sound, like a laugh. Guttural, filled with growls, but undeniably a mocking laugh.
A laugh. Oh, that crosses another line entirely. That's not animalistic. That's sentient and cruel.
He fires. The shadow jumps back, incredibly fast. Sweeps the light around nothing, gone again.
Just vanished. After showing that level of intelligence and malice.
Yeah. He makes his way back to the porch, practically collapses. He's convinced now, this thing isn't just a predator. It's intelligent. It's malevolent. And it feels like it's toying with him.
That realization that it might be enjoying this, playing games, is arguably even more terrifying than a simple beast. It implies a different kind of danger altogether.
After that, Bill's paranoia really spikes. He starts waking up feeling phantom claws, hearing growls that aren't there. The stress is immense.
Understandable. His reality is being constantly undermined by something terrifying and seemingly intelligent.
Sarah and Michael basically stop talking about it. Like if they don't mention it, maybe it'll go away. Just this heavy silence in the house.
Avoidance coping. Sometimes it's all people feel they can do when overwhelmed.
Bill calls Robert again. Robert's lost more sheep. And his dog this time. He tells Bill flat out, I don't think this is coyotes or wolves anymore. He's scared.
So Robert's experience is escalating too. He's starting to believe something extraordinary is happening.
Yeah. They agree Robert should come over. They'll do a joint watch. Safety in numbers, maybe.
A desperate plan, but better than facing it alone.
So Robert shows up, armed like Bill. They figure out positions, divide the area around the house and barn, keep in touch with walkie-talkies.
Setting up a defense perimeter.
Hours pass. Tense silence. Then, around 3 a.m. again, bang, a gunshot.
Robert!
Yeah, his voice crackles over the walkie-talkie, panicked. I saw something. Big. It's coming your way.
Oh, God.
Then, just muffled sounds. A scream from Robert. Sounds of a struggle, things breaking. That horrible growl again. Then, silence.
Oh, no.
Bill runs towards where Robert was stationed, finds him on the ground near his truck. Face bloody, a deep gash on his arm. Conscious, but barely.
He's alive, but attacked. What did he say?
Mumbling. Said it came out of nowhere, from behind, moved too fast. Said it was big, very big. And then he says, its eyes were more human than you can imagine.
More human than you can imagine. That detail again. Terrifying.
Bill calls for an ambulance, long wait out there. Sarah calls Tanner, gets the usual doubtful response, though he says he'll send a car eventually.
The system failing them again, even in a clear emergency.
As the paramedics are loading Robert up, he grabs Bill's arm, whispers, "Don't let that thing get you."
A stark warning from someone who just survived it. This confirms the danger is escalating dramatically.
After Robert's attack, Bill tries calling more people, anyone who might help or have seen something. Most brush him off.
Still meeting that wall of disbelief.
A couple do share hushed stories, though. Similar attacks on livestock, fleeting glimpses of a shadow, half human, half beast. But nobody wants to get involved. Too scared.
So there are whispers. Other incidents, maybe. But fear keeps people silent, isolated. Exactly what the creature seems to thrive on.
Bill visits Robert in the hospital. Doctors are baffled by the wounds. The tearing, the depth, doesn't match any known animal attack pattern. Robert just wants to get out of Alabama as soon as he recovers.
The wounds themselves are evidence, aren't they? Evidence that something unusual is happening, even if the doctors can't name it.
Back home, Sarah is almost catatonic with fear. Michael is terrified. One night, Michael just asks him straight out, "Dad, is it a werewolf? Like in the stories?"
Oh, heartbreaking. For a child to articulate that fear.
Bill says it broke his heart. What do you even tell your kid? He starts digging into old local records, newspaper archives at the library, finds some vague mentions from decades past, bizarre attacks, unsolved livestock killings, mentions it to Tanner. Tanner just gives this nervous laugh.
Nervous laugh. Maybe Tanner knows more than he's letting on. Or maybe he's just unnerved by the persistence of these stories.
Bill decides he needs more firepower. Goes to a local gun dealer, Carl, buys high-caliber ammunition. Sarah doesn't even care about the money anymore. It's just about survival now.
The shift in priorities. Money means nothing when your life is on the line.
Then comes the night it finally attacks the house directly. Pitch dark outside. Suddenly, bam! A massive bang on the front door, like something huge just slammed into it.
It's escalating. Testing the defenses failed. Now it's a direct assault.
Bill grabs the shotgun again, yells for Sarah and Michael to hide, lock themselves in the bedroom. He gets to the window near the door, sees this massive shape right outside, and those eyes again. Yellow, glowing, but filled with intelligence, malice.
Not just instinct, conscious malevolence.
He fires through the window. The creature dodges, incredibly fast. He feels claws rake the air near his face through the broken window pane.
Oh, too close.
He gets a clearer look at its face this time.
So-
An elongated snout, yes, but the skull shape beneath. Almost human-like. And it lets out this sound, like a mocking growl.
Mocking him, taunting him. This is personal now.
Bill fires again, hitting it squarely this time, he thinks. It howls a sound of pain and rage and stumbles back.
He hit it. Did it go down?
Not down, but it retreated from the door. But then he hears heavy footsteps on the porch. And then climbing sounds. It's going onto the roof.
On the roof? Oh my God, it's trying to
Right.
get in from above.
Bill runs upstairs, heart pounding. Gets to the bedroom where Sarah and Michael are hiding. Stands guard at the door, shotgun aimed at the ceiling. The roof above them is creaking, groaning. Sounds like it's going to break through any second.
The tension must have been unbearable, trapped, waiting for it to crash down on them.
They shed. Silence. Suddenly, nothing from the roof. After a few minutes, Bill cautiously checks outside. Nothing. It's gone.
It's left.
Who knows? Maybe the shot injured it more than he thought. Maybe it was testing them again. But the front door is partially destroyed. Proof it wasn't a nightmare. They spend the rest of the night barricading what's left at the door, reinforcing everything again.
It physically damaged the house, breached their primary defense. That changes everything.
The next day, the sun comes out. Feels like a momentary truce, but Bill feels like he's being tested, terrorized deliberately.
Like psychological torture, wearing them down bit by bit.
He talks with Sarah again about leaving, but she raises a chilling point. If it can track them, find them even after they reinforce the house, will leaving even work, or will it just follow?
That's a terrifying thought. No escape. Nowhere is safe.
They try reinforcing the house even more. Barricades, floodlights. Michael gets sick, high fever. Doctors suggest it might be stress, recommend psychological support. Bill's own paranoia is through the roof. He even grazes himself with a shotgun, accidentally while cleaning it. He's so jumpy.
The physical and mental toll is immense. Illness, accidents, paranoia. They're breaking down under the strain.
Strangely, a few days pass without a major attack. Almost a false sense of calm. But Bill feels it's just the quiet before the storm. He's having waking nightmares now, seeing things.
The lack of attacks can be almost as unnerving. Is it gone? Or is it just waiting, planning something worse?
Then, Robert calls. He hasn't left the state yet, still recovering. Says he lost 2 more sheep. And his other dog. He sounds terrified. Still thinks it wasn't just one creature.
Still happening, even while Robert's away. It's not just focused on Bill's farm.
Bill goes out, checks his property line again, finds more tracks. Large, almost human, clear claw marks. These seem fresh.
Confirmation it's still around, still active.
He follows the smell. Strong carrion stench leads him deep into the woods to a small clearing. What he finds there, it chills him to the bone.
What was it?
A deer carcass.
Yeah.
Torn apart savagely. Clear claw marks everywhere. But the head. The head was ripped off and hung from a tree branch, like a grotesque warning sign. A trophy.
Oh, that's deliberate. That's a message. A territorial marking or a direct threat. Pure psychological intimidation.
Finding the deer pushes Bill over the edge. The terror, the despair. It's overwhelming. He spends another sleepless night guarding the door, shotgun ready, waiting.
The breaking point feels near. How much more can they take?
Around 2 a.m., snapping twigs outside, a low growl near the barn again. He sees a shadow moving near the new floodlights. And Bill just snaps. Maybe it's exhaustion, maybe rage, maybe desperation. He makes an impulsive decision. He's going out there. He's going to confront it.
Oh, man. Going out to meet it alone.
He steps outside, shotgun raised. He yells out something like, "Show yourself." And it does. It steps into the floodlight beams. He sees it clearly for the first time. Tall, incredibly muscular. Skin like dark gray leather. Long claws. The face. Wolf-like, yes, but flatter, wider, almost human eyes staring back at him. And he's wearing ragged pants.
Pants, tattered pants. That implies it wasn't always like this, that it was or is somehow connected to a human being. That's a huge, horrifying revelation.
He locks eyes with it. The creature lets out a terrifying growl and just lunges at him.
Here we go. The final confrontation.
Bill fires twice, hits it, staggers it, but it doesn't go down. It's unbelievably tough.
Took 2 shots and kept coming. Incredible.
It lunges again, moving, Bill says, like a demonic gorilla. All speed and power. Bill aims for the chest, fires again. This time the creature collapses.
He got it. He finally got it.
He approaches cautiously. It's on the ground, breathing raggedly but still alive. He gets closer, and it suddenly lashes out. Claws catch his leg. Excruciating pain. He drops the shotgun.
No, it's not done.
The creature starts crawling toward and growling. Bill's trying to scramble back, leg useless. He thinks this is it. Then, bam! Another gunshot right beside his ear.
Sarah.
Sarah. Standing there, shotgun smoking. She shot the creature point blank in the head.
Wow. Sarah saved him. Incredible courage.
Silence. Just utter, terrifying silence for a moment. Bill, injured, looks at the body. The head is mangled but still recognizably wolf-like.
Yeah.
With those disturbing human undertones.
So it's dead. Really dead this time.
It seems so. But then, the body starts to convulse. Horribly. Bones crack, snap, flesh seems to shift. Right before their eyes, it transforms. The fur recedes, the snout shortens, the claws retract. It reverts into the form of a middle-aged man, naked, bloody, dead.
Oh my God. It changed back into a human. Sarah must have screamed.
She did. And just as they're reeling from that horror, 2 more shapes appear. Silhouettes at the edge of the pasture watching them. Identical to the creature they just killed.
3 more. There are others. A pack.
They just stand there for a second. One lets out this long, mournful howl. Then both turn and melt back into the darkness. Gone.
A mournful howl for their fallen pack member. This confirms it's not just one isolated monster, it's plural. And they know what happened.
Bill and Sarah are left there, wounded, terrified, standing beside the corpse of a man who was, moments before, a monster. The yard looks like a war zone. And now they know. There are more out there.
The questions are overwhelming. Who was this man? How did this happen? Who are the others? Are they coming back?
Michael saw some of it from the window, terrified. They dragged the body under a tarp near the barn. Can't leave it there.
What do you even do next? Call the sheriff now?
Bill calls Tanner again the next morning, tells him everything. Tanner's disbelieving, naturally, until he arrives with another officer and sees the body under the tarp. Bill says Tanner went pale, speechless. He finally agrees to call it in State Crime Lab backup.
Seeing is believing, I guess. A dead human body after that story. It changes things.
The body is eventually identified. Gordon Walker. Reported missing 3 years ago. No explanation for, well, for any of it. But it's chilling confirmation. This wasn't a delusion. Something dark and real is happening.
Identified. A missing person. That just deepens the mystery and the horror. What happened to Gordon Walker? How did he become that?
Sarah gets really sick after this. The stress, the shock. They take her to the hospital. But even there, they don't feel safe. Frightening sounds at night outside.
The paranoia follows them, understandably.
Then, a security guard in the hospital parking lot is attacked. Mauled, killed. Witnesses hear a growl. Unmistakable. Another werewolf. Right there at the hospital. Fear grips the whole place.
They followed them. Or is it coincidence? Either way, it means the threat isn't contained to the farm. It can reach them anywhere.
Bill pulls Sarah out of the hospital against medical advice. It doesn't feel safe. They go back to the farm, quickly pack essentials. It's tense, terrifying. Bill keeps seeing shadows outside the house. As they drive away, they see a blur dash past the window. Looking back, 2 silhouettes are standing at the end of their driveway, watching them leave. Maybe even pursuing.
A close escape. But they know they're being watched, maybe hunted.
They drive north for hours, find a cheap motel, lock themselves in. But the fear is constant. Every sound makes them jump.
Can you ever really feel safe after something like that?
Bill calls Tanner for updates. Tanner says reports of strange attacks are increasing across the region. No solid leads, no answers, just more fear.
It's spreading. Or maybe just becoming more visible now.
Sarah is deeply shaken, barely functioning. Michael is clearly traumatized. They move again, stay with a cousin in a more urban area. Feels a little safer with more people around, but the paranoia lingers.
Cities offer anonymity, but does that stop something like this?
Robert calls Bill. Desperate. Another attack near where he's staying now. He's convinced they're organized. These aren't random monsters. They're working together.
Organized werewolves. That adds a whole new level of terror. Intelligence, coordination, numbers.
Bill makes a decision. Running isn't working. Hiding isn't working. They have to go back. Back to the farm. Make a stand on their own ground. It feels like their only option left.
A last resort. Facing the threat head on because there's nowhere else to run.
They return. Fortify the house like never before. Set traps around the perimeter. Every night is tense, waiting for the inevitable.
Preparing for a siege.
And it happens a few nights later. Sarah hears footsteps. On the roof again. Then the power cuts out. The electric fence goes dead. Bill looks outside, sees two figures by the generator, two werewolves.
Two of them. They cut the power again. Coordinated attack.
It erupts into chaos. They break into the house. A brutal, desperate fight. Bill, Sarah, Michael fighting for their lives against two werewolves inside their home.
Inside the house. Oh my God.
Gunshots echoing, howls, furniture breaking. It's pure mayhem. Sarah manages to get Michael towards the attic stairs.
Trying to get the child to safety while fighting.
Bill is locked in a vicious struggle with one werewolf. They crash down the stairs together. He's losing.
It's overwhelming odds.
The other werewolf corners Sarah on the stairs, lunges at her. Suddenly, Michael, who had grabbed one of the smaller guns, fires it, hits the werewolf attacking his mother. It recoils, releasing Sarah.
Michael shot it. The kid saved his mom.
Bill sees his chance, grabs another loaded gun he had stashed nearby, opens fire on the werewolf he was fighting, emptying the clip, then turns and fires on the one Michael shot, over and over.
Just unloading on them. Pure survival instinct.
Both werewolves finally collapse. Silence falls again, heavy, thick with the smell of gunpowder and blood. And then it happens again.
The transformation.
Both bodies convulse. That horrific sound of bones cracking. They shrink, change, transforming back into human forms. A man and a woman. Naked, bloody, dead on their floor.
A man and a woman. So the other two from the pasture. Or maybe different ones. The horror just doesn't end. They're left with two more bodies and the terrifying knowledge of what they are.
What an absolutely harrowing account from Bill. I mean, the sheer terror, the persistence of it. It's unbelievable.
It really is. And the trauma for that family, Bill, Sarah, especially young Michael, it's unimaginable. Their lives are just fundamentally altered forever.
And so many questions left unanswered, aren't there? Who were Gordon Walker and this man and woman? How did they become this? Are there still more of them out there?
Exactly. The story ends, but the threat doesn't feel resolved, does it? They survived the fight, but as Bill himself apparently wondered online, are they truly safe? Or is it just a matter of time before they hear those claws scratching at the door again?
It taps into such a primal fear, doesn't it? The monster that looks human, the predator hiding in plain sight, the darkness just beyond the floodlights.
Absolutely. Whether you believe in werewolves or not, Bill's story forces you to confront that fear of the unknown, the monsters that might exist just outside our everyday understanding, waiting. Something to definitely think about.